Hi, this is Travis from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this clip on the Political Voices Network.
Hello, Charlie.
Oh, God.
Yes, hello.
It's just not the same.
I'm supposed to be breathy.
It's not. It's just not.
No, it's not.
She thought it just when it couldn't get weirder with Jody. Now it's really weird. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, all.
I loved your
That's an epic day.
yes. I loved your initial tweet on Tennessee. You said, "Good job, Tennessee. Nathan Bedford Forrest toasts you from hell."
Yeah.
But, now, of course, they've backed down, which I guess is good news. It looks like the other Justin will be reinstated. But what a way to run a country, as we've been talking about, right?
Well, this is one of the great cell phones of all time.
Yeah.
First of all, they created almost out of nowhere two serious national political leaders, and these two guys.
Yeah.
And these are two guys who haven't been elected. I mean, they've been in elected office for about 11 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I guess it's just, I was saying to me, that should be a campaign ad, is the white covenant mom holding one of the Justins, them crying together over the loss of her child out of something that should not be racial or partisan.
There's no.
What's that?
I'm sorry. I've got text coming in. I'm using my phone. And
Okay.
It's a little baffling.
Yeah.
I think that was Justin Pearson, right?
Sorry.
Jones was Jones.
Jones. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, it was Jones. Okay.
Yeah. So you also talked.
Yeah. I mean, I watched. I just turned it on the other day, and I just want to see what was what, and I already knew who did it on that particular Law and Order episode.
Yeah.
So I went to C-SPAN.
Yeah.
And I couldn't turn away. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and watched them, and I thought to myself, and this was before I knew they could get their seats back as easily as they can. I thought, who is this appealing to?
Right.
Who isn't already voting for you?
Yeah. Well, and by the way, your piece was so important. No one on the right seems willing to control the violence. You talked about the Tennessee Holler, the progressive news site there. The founder on Saturday night said someone targeted our home by shooting several bullets into our house while my family was sleeping. And we've been talking about just this climate of violence all the way up to Trump, the incitement of it, right?
Oh, I remember talking about this on the campaign trail in 2012 when Obama was running for re-election. That there was a real sense of dread because you just didn't know where the crazy was going to come from.
Yeah.
And it turned out, it came 4 years later.
Yeah, and you've been talking about the threats directed at Judge Merchan and his, in New York. We were saying that, obviously other judges are hearing this, and that's why the jury's going to be anonymous, right, Root, in the E. Jean Carroll case. I mean, so this is the world that we live in now, where we just expect this incitement of violence on the right.
Yeah, at this point, I'm amazed that anybody actually accepts jury duty in certain trials.
Yeah,
because it's almost impossible to keep someone to keep some. I think it's almost impossible to keep someone anonymous.
Yeah,
and it's just not worth it. And this goes back. People have forgotten that threatening the judge is not a new thing.
Right.
In the Terry Schiavo case, there were threats made against federal judges on the floor of the Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you said nobody on that side of the political spectrum, from the duck boot militias to the Congress, seems willing or able to control the mounting wildness. You do. You just have this feeling of impending doom, don't you? About what's next, what act of violence is next.
Yeah, I mean, there's that's probably that certainly exists out there right now, but it can engender a dangerous kind of paralysis.
Yeah.
It
becomes.
You still got to do the work of politics.
Yeah, it becomes normal. We become like sort of numb to this kind of constant, violent sort of language that certainly Trump uses almost every day, right? Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think everybody. I mean, people have been given permission to act out the worst versions of themselves.
Yeah, Charlie, I'm struck by we're having.
And a lot of people have grabbed it with both hands.
Yeah.
We're having a conversation about the idiocy of our politics, and Clyde is having a fight presently with his dog bed. I thought it was with Bonnie, but he is actually, that's what politics has come down to.
I think
he is
choking
fighting with his dog bed. That's what you're hearing, Charlie. Okay. Let's talk about, you just wrote another piece. It's good to be a justice. Nothing would be more satisfying to see the reckoning come down on the conservative money, power, corruption of the federal judicial system. But again, speaking of normalizing this Clarence Thomas story, it just seems like more of the same, doesn't it? In terms of corruption.
It's Christmas in April at Sheldon Whitehouse's.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's been on TV the last 3 days, doing everything except tying on a bib and, sharpening a knife and smiling and, whistling tunes from Sweeney Todd. This is exactly what he's been waiting for.
But speaking of which, let's listen to Senator Durbin real quick about the Supreme Court.
Why is it the Supreme Court doesn't have a set of ethics guidelines that prohibits this sort of thing?
That's the obvious question. And I asked that question of Chief Justice Roberts more than 10 years ago in writing. Why don't you adopt the same standards and procedures that apply to all the other federal courts and apply it to the U.S. Supreme Court to limit activities and also require disclosure? He wrote back and basically said very tersely, we don't think it's necessary. Well, I hope he's read the ProPublica piece about Justice Clarence Thomas, who once again has surfaced as Exhibit A in the problem that this court faces.
Charlie, can I ask, why would this be a bigger deal than the fact that he ruled in specific rulings that his wife was involved in to protect her about the January 6th insurrection?
Well, I think it's more easily understood.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, we may not be experienced in how you judge guilt or innocence in an insurrection, but we all understand crooked politicians. We all understand, influence peddling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm more on. I think I don't know whether I'm more unnerved by the fact he didn't report all this luxurious travel than I am that he's hanging around with a really weird guy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We've discussed
from a very weird family.
Yeah. Yeah. We've discussed what Rude and I, the reasons you might have Nazi memorabilia. I mean,
well, no, I want to spend a contemplative afternoon in the Garden of the Dictators.
Yeah. And by the way, Rude, you were talking about Whoopi Goldberg having some, stuff, but also Whoopi Goldberg's black. Like, there's a difference between going, I want to, remember the evils of slavery.
Right, and take ownership of
not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Chris. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Charlie. Sorry.
No, I was, I was on Twitter the other night trying to make sense out of the conservative defense of old Harlan Crow. That this guy's just a collector. He's not a fan.
Right.
First of all, you've gone beyond collecting if you own an autographed copy of Mein Kampf.
Yeah.
Signed, puts a stick on the front that says in German, signed by the author.
Yeah.
Like he was doing like readings at the old Borders in Munich. But what I want to, what I was saying is that it doesn't matter why this guy owns the stuff.
Yeah.
Don't own the stuff.
Yeah.
When my father was doing convoy duty in the North Atlantic, and the U-boats were stalking his convoys, that it didn't matter, what the guys who were shooting the torpedoes thought of National Socialism.
Yeah.
I mean, just don't collect this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, quickly before we go, you wrote a piece, Tough Break for January 6th Capitol rioters. You said slowly as the DOJ is moving on the white shoe class of insurrectionists, as prosecutors obviously pulling together solid cases against the grunts. So Trump has moved to block Pence from testifying, as you do when you're completely innocent and not afraid of what someone has to say.
And of course, Mike Pence is fighting it at every turn, because he yearns to do his civic duty.
Yes, of course. But what what is your feeling today? On at least just the J6 prosecution.
I think I've always thought that the Mar-a-Lago, the Poolshed papers, was a better case against Trump specifically than January 6th is.
Yeah,
because it's going to be very hard to make a connection legally between his speech on the Mall and what happened in the Capitol.
right. But it's not just about his speech, right? It's about the whole fake electors, the whole scheme, isn't it?
Well, that's the I was going to say that's the other thing. I think between the Poolshed papers and Fannie Wills, that's where the real gold is going to be.
I love where we are today.
I mean, it looks like the Georgia case is a slam dunk.
Yeah. I love where we are today. We're like, the overthrow of the United States government, that one's not as serious as the other. Like, whatever. Okay. Charlie, say goodbye to your fill-in lover, Rude Pundit.
Goodbye, Charlie.
Hey, Rude.
Goodbye.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to ASMR you.
No.
All right. Goodbye, Charlie.
Oh, that's not right.
All right, so who's up for a great bottle of wine? Well, according to a recent survey, about 62% of the country is ready to raise a glass. But how do we decide what it is that defines a great wine when all of our palates are so uniquely different? Imagine a fun and interactive process that actually takes your preference into consideration, allowing you to create, design, and even package a wine that's right for you, your event, or clientele. Welcome to Blentique Wine Company, and welcome to your wine. Blentique invites you to participate in a revolutionary new process whereby the everyday consumer can create and design a personalized wine blend from the comfort of home. Whether blending is an individual, date night activity, wedding party, or restaurateur, our one-of-a-kind system helps put the power of creativity back into the only discerning palate in the room that matters, yours. Welcome to Blentique Wine Company, and welcome to your wine.